So I need this, when I pour it into there, to equal 1250 milliliters on the jug. And it doesn't. Okay, so time for the diff oil change. I don't want to speak too soon, but this might be the easiest bit of maintenance or repair I've done on this car yet. So we're looking at the bottom of the diff. The front of the car is that way. Always, always, always undo the fill port before the drain port. And just to show you, I have got a 14mm Allen socket on the end of a wobble extension. And this becomes important for the drain plug. So we need to undo the fill plug first. It's only 65 Newton meters, so this shouldn't be that hard. Make sure I'm actually on undo. There we go. Now I'm actually just going to check to make sure the replacement plugs I've got are correct before going too much further. So this is the new one, this is the old one, and then the gasket on these, because there's two different types. One is with a washer gasket, this is actually a rubber O-ring gasket. The gasket's built in, so you can just replace the gasket, but in this case I've just replaced the whole plug. So I'm actually going to send off an oil sample to Blackstone. I really want to see what the condition of this oil was in. But let's go ahead, see if we can get the drain plug out. There you go, that went in. Oh yeah, no worries. And you can see where that wobble extension comes in useful, because it's touching right at the top of the exhaust. And if it was a straight extension, I wouldn't be able to do this without lowering the exhaust. And I don't want to do that. Got my pot ready. When I undo this plug, it's likely going to hit the exhaust, and that's going to smell horrible. So I'm actually going to wrap the exhaust. I've got some bubble wrap, just from some things being shipped. You can use an old plastic bag or something, but this way there's very low risk of anything hitting that exhaust. So this is going to be fun. Ooh, that is nasty. That's pretty grim. Looks like this has not been changed for a while. It's been draining about 10 minutes and it's down to a drip. I'm not going to get much more out, so I'm just going to clean this up a little bit so we can get a plug in there, and I'll clean it fully later. So just again, take the new plug. Just cleaned up the surface a little bit for the gasket to make a good connection with. Thanks SMG. Go ahead and get rid of this bag now. So the plugs are 60 Newton meters. So this is the oil that was supplied in the kit. It's 75W40, which is what you find in actually a lot of differentials, but interestingly, this is actually a Mercedes blend. So both Mercedes and BMW, I guess, use the same thing. Hopefully it's the right stuff. I'm sure it is. So I don't know if this is design or coincidence, but it looks like I might actually be able to fill using the bottles the trans fluid came in. Trans fluid, diff fluid, what am I talking about? That's what that transmission work doing on the Audis. Now I've got 3 bottles because it looks like it's about 1400 milliliters, so I don't have to get them all 100% empty, so this might work out. That would appear to be a stream, which is what we're looking for. Yeah, you can see, there we go. Time to put the fill plug back in. Same torque. Actually, before I torque it, I'm going to check the quantity. As you can see here, once it's settled, it's right on the 1100 milliliters line. Now the oil itself is looking pretty grim. I mean, look how dark that is. So you saw how golden the new stuff was. In order to work out though, exactly how much was in the Blackstone container, what I'm going to do is fill one up and dump it into here, so then we can tell exactly. This is the spare, and these are 500 milliliters each. So if there's 250 milliliters left, that means we've put 1250 milliliters into the car. So I need this, when I pour it into there, to equal 1250 milliliters on the jug. And it doesn't, so it's about 1200 milliliters. Now, all I can explain there is that maybe there was a bit of spillage, or something else going on, but yeah, it looks like we've added 50 milliliters more. That's not the end of the world. And then we're going to do a final check of the filter. You can see in there's a couple of bits of debris. I think that was just from the outside of the differential housing itself. You can always check though if it's gears, because they should be magnetic by taking a magnet. So here's one along the outside, moving it around, and if anything sticks to it and moves with the magnet, you know it's actually probably a sign that it's gears, but I think that's good. Well, this accounts for some of the 50 millilitres, likely not all of it, but again, not that worried. So I've just undone the plug again, you can see it's dripping out, so I'm happy that it's at the right level. Done. Always looks better with new plugs, doesn't it? Rah. And here's the Blackstone report. So as you can see, it was a really good time to change the diff oil. As we scan down the report though, just a couple of things to draw your attention to. Those black specks that I found in the filter were likely things inside the differential. So you can see over far on the right hand side the universal averages. So they are averages from all M5 differentials. Here though, the iron level is almost quadruple what the universal average is. That's where they're referring to the amount of wear that's happened in this diff. Other ones then with the silicon, so silicon can be from a range of different things. It could actually be an anti-foaming agent. It could also be sealant, like if the diff had been sealed at any point, but it's really difficult to tell without knowing more about the history of the diff. So not too worried about that one. And then lastly down the bottom you can look at things like viscosity. The oil, when it breaks down, will actually go thinner, and you can see in this case it is actually much thinner than it should be. So if you look at that range 100 to 140, we're down at 70. That's half of what the peak should be. So definitely time to change this oil.